Tony, thank you. And with those record low temperatures expected this weekend, warming shelters are opening across the region to keep folks warm. Earlier today, a 24-hour warming shelter opened on Main Street in Pawtucket. Brother Gary Dantzler of Black Lives Matter Rhode Island tells us in addition to a place to rest, there will be food, toiletries, and other services for those who need them. Dantzler says he'll be working with volunteers to offer the space as a shelter through Monday.
It's really, really critical. Like, you know, they could die out there.
I couldn't imagine being out there today in this. I just couldn't.
Now, longer-term shelters are also being readied to be open to those who need it. And there are plenty of people needing shelter here in southern New England, especially this time of year. Our 12 News reporter Alexandra Leslie is live in Providence now to give us an inside look at a new space that Crossroads is setting up. Alex?
Well, Kim, this site here at 662 Hartford Avenue was owned by the state, but was sitting here unused. Last month, the State Properties Committee gave the green light so that this shelter could be turned into a 24/7 space that Crossroads right now is putting the finishing touches on to get up and running on Monday.
This will be an opportunity where they can stay together.
Crossroads is taking this space on Hartford Ave in Providence and transforming it into a 40-bed shelter aimed at prioritizing unhoused couples.
They want to stay together. They don't want to separate and go to gender-specific shelters, which is primarily what we have in this state.
In addition to assigned beds, with some in private rooms, each guest will get towels, storage, and lockers for personal belongings. Amos House will provide meals, and the Providence Center will be on hand to provide mental health services. Karen Santilli of Crossroads says those who room here can stay here as long as they want over the coming months, but the goal is to find them permanent housing.
We'll be working with them to get them into their own apartments during that time and open that bed up for someone else.
Santilli says while this shelter will help address the need to house people amid cold winter temperatures, it still doesn't solve the housing crisis.
So this is a critical resource for now, and we look forward to continuing working with the state to make sure that we're building the housing that we need.
Now, while this shelter will not be ready for this weekend, Crossroads tell me all of its other shelters that it's operating will be turned into 24-hour warming shelters. And when this site does open here on Monday, it'll stay open through April. Reporting live from Providence, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.
Tony, thank you. And warming shelters are open and available for those who need them. Several spots have opened across southern New England. Pawtucket, Providence, Fall River, and many more have temporary warming shelters open and ready for people to come in out of the cold.
The homeless, especially vulnerable in cold weather like this. That's why efforts are being made to both protect vulnerable people now and in some places well into the future.
12 News reporter Alexandra Leslie's in Providence with more.
This shelter here on Hartford Ave is still being prepared, but it plans to open on Monday. In the meantime, Crossroads says all of its other warming shelters will be open as 24/7 warming stations through the weekend, and there are other warming shelters across the state as well. Here in Pawtucket, this building on 1139 Main Street quickly transformed into a 24/7 warming shelter for this weekend. Liz O'Neill was one of the first to take advantage.
Imagine being out there today in this. I just couldn't.
O'Neill says she's grateful for the option, which means she doesn't have to sleep outside this weekend.
The state needs to help.
Last month, the governor's office announced expanded capacity at 662 Hartford Ave in Providence would be prepared to become an emergency couples shelter. The original proposal was for 16 beds.
We suggested that there were other parts of the building that could be put to use and that we could in fact shelter 40 people safely here.
Karen Santilli of Crossroads says this space, which will be open through April, is unlike warming stations like the Cranston Street Armory or the Pawtucket shelter on Main Street that's open this weekend.
But it's not just a day shelter, and it's also not night to night where people just line up and come in. People are assigned to this shelter, assigned to a bed, and we work with them to get them housed while they're here.
Santilli says more collaboration is needed to ensure people who need these resources the most know about them.
To make sure that the woman in Pawtucket who's experiencing homelessness, who's on the street, who obviously she doesn't know that this shelter is available, that we get to her and we bring her here so that she's safe and then ultimately get her into her apartment.
The shelter will have congregate spaces like these, but will also have private rooms for couples as well. The Providence Center will also be on hand to provide mental health services. Reporting in Providence, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.